when I found out about 2 Hour House, I'm at Texas Motor Speedway. Of course, you and I been there for years. So I'm walking through the motorhomes and I'm drinking a Coors Light, and I see Steve Conaway showing the video which you guys had done. And I said, play that again. And they played it again. I said, Brian, this could be one of the best leadership books of all time. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, we're human creatures of the eye. And there's teamwork, collaboration, efficiency, organization. And so all those principles have to happen to do anything. And so when you was involved and you were involved in the whole thing, when did he approach you? What was said? What were your thoughts? Tell me the story. And first of all, state first and last name and what you do now, and what did you do during the 2 Hour House, real quick?
My name's Robert Lloyd. I'm in granite fabrication now. I've been in home building all my life, and I was on the board at the Tyler Area Builders Association. I was a past president. Brian Conaway was the president at the time of doing this, and all the credit goes to him. It was his dream, and he put together the organization to do that, solicited all of us, and when I say all of us, different trades. So you've got your floor people, your framers, your HVAC guy, electricians. So we had all these different trades and went to them, and for material and labor, they donated. And it was just a fascinating part. The first part I was a part of was my buddy that was going to do the flooring was a little lost. He came to me and said, Robert, help me figure this out. This is what they want me to do. And it was basically every room was pre-cut, rolled up, ready to run in and lay. And so we got through that, and we actually built a test house first, okay? And we had a lot of trouble with that. And so I went to Brian. I said, Brian, they're not understanding when and where we need different trades going. So I went to Brian with the idea. I said, let's put each trade in a different color T-shirt, and let me just work in the house, and I'll call the trades as we need them. And Brian being Brian, he jumped right on it, and he had the T-shirts made. So the carpenters were in green, the electricians were in red, and he bought me a big megaphone. Those things you talk through, and it's real loud. And so we had a lot of trouble with the concrete. I met those guys over there. I bet we poured 50 different little slabs because they used an accelerant in it. It's got to set up in about 10 minutes. So we got to be able to spread it and let it set so we can go to work. And they finally get on the formula that's just right. And now we've got everybody in colors. I got my megaphone, and Brian's got it all set up, got the press there, did a flyover. It was just fabulous. Everybody was so excited. So when they fired that gun, those concrete trucks started pumping. As soon as the plumbers had the ditches dug, we dug the ditches for the plumbing. Concrete trucks are running. They poured the accelerant in it and start dumping. And we got that spread, and, I called for the framers. So while the concrete's setting, they're building all those walls over here on the ground. And about 10 guys would pick a whole wall up and run it up there and set it. And the next guys is right behind them. So they're running in, setting all the walls up. And I'm calling for electricians, plumbers, get rough in, then drywall. We built the roof over at a different location beside the house and had a crane that picked that thing up. Roof was complete, shingled, the HVAC was in it, all the wires were hanging down. They picked that roof up, brought it over, and set it down on the house, and we started securing it to the house. It was a fascinating sight to see. And I'm running in and out of that thing with my megaphone, hollering for, I need this, I need that. And that really kind of put us over the hump when we got that kind of organization in there. And again, that's credit to Brian. He was brilliant at that. And it was just so much fun. The building inspector was there. And back then we had I can't remember her name, it's been so long ago, but she was really super cool lady. And she's with me at each step, okay, can I do this? And she'd okay it for me, and I'd call for drywall. Let's get the drywall up. Because that included hanging a sheetrock tape bed, floating, and painting. And it was a sight to see.
Well, I tell you what, man, you're talking about a house right here. I got the little deal, and you said about the roof. There's the roof.
Yeah.
And that thing has to be
that
put
was
on.
built. That was
There's
built
your
completely
entry.
separate.
There's the entry that you're talking about. I
Yep.
mean, this is pretty darn hell of a vision. Begin with the end in mind to have something like this go. How many? Well, you were basically the conductor of the orchestra.
Right.
You were sitting there, boom, boom, boom,
I'm
boom,
just
boom.
calling out what we need when.
Would
So
you-
I'm constantly in the house. I mean, I had mud and paint all over me because you're getting it. And I said, I'll clean up later. Let's just let's keep rolling for this thing. 'Cause
So when he told you that that's what he wanted to do, and you said you were the past president of the Home Builders Association.
Yes.
How many years before? Probably a couple of years.
yeah, a
Yeah,
couple
okay.
years. I think probably it's 4 years coming up the ladder, maybe 3 or 4.
When he came up to you to do that, what sold you or had buy-in that you said we can do this? What was that process like?
I took a long look at it because it's a major commitment and expense for the Builders Association, which is dear to my heart. And I went through it, looked it over. He made a flow chart. I've lost over the years, but I used it for years because it was put together so good. So he had a flow chart from the minute we started digging dirt till we got our CO. But I thought about it for a while, and he told me what he had done as far as securing people and trades and materials. And I said, Brian, I think we can do this. I really do. And he was not to be denied. Let's put it that way. So he got me on board. I was all in at that point. I said, and after the test house, I said, let me call the shots and for the trades. So, because they were stumbling over each other, we wasn't really organized. So I just took his flow chart, started with that, and man, it worked like a dream.
Yeah, with the flow charts, when you said it helped you personally and even in your business and you used it, describe what you mean by that.
That's
And
the
what's
step-
the normal way, and then what's the way
steps
that you,
to properly build a house efficiently, efficient use of time. Let's put it that way. The flow chart was good for that. Everybody thinks they can build a house, and they can. But being efficient with time and contractors not upset because you've called them in too early, and you're not really ready for them. That flow chart was brilliant. That's the way they run their business, which is super successful, Conaway Homes, and I used it until I don't know. I've got it packed away somewhere, I'm sure. But yeah, I used it for years. I just thought it was a brilliant idea. And that's what I followed to call different trades in. I'm inspecting, being sure they're where we can be, and then I'd call the next trade in behind them.
yeah, those flow charts kind of create that vision about and avoids expectations that could be off. It would seem like that it puts you on the same page.
Exactly. It's a more efficient use of your time. And because when you're hiring subcontractors, their time is money too to them. And if you've called them in and they can't do their job, they're charging you anyway, and they're frustrated and they've got jobs lined out. It really put that in perspective, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and we're talking about interior boards and interior boards, countertops, kitchen cabinets, bathroom fixtures, heating and cooling systems, the yard, the fence, the shingle in the roof.
Yep.
I mean,
Putting a
all
sprinkler
that.
in, laying the grass.
579 volunteers to organize that and build a 2,300 square foot house to exceed code. It goes to show that the human spirit is alive and well if we make the game big enough.
Absolutely.
Do you agree? I mean, I
do.
And I'm sure the association doubled that year. What about industry competitors banding together to do something? Any stories behind that?
Yeah, let me give you an example. When I was president of the Home Builders Association, I had 42 builders, okay? And we had a tough budget to meet. And I just went to all of them. I said, everybody's got to bring in 10 members. I said, that's the only way I can balance the budget. And we did. And while I was there, I convinced them to build a new office over there on Grande. I had built a car wash over there, and I was about to build a storage facility over there. And I told them, I said, Grande is going to be the hottest street in Tyler. We can buy this piece of property, subdivide it into lots, sell the lots, and pay for the building. I didn't get it built. Joe Carlisle did. He followed me as president. But getting those old-timers to move and commit to buying that land is like pulling teeth. We sold the lots like overnight and had all the money to pay. The building was paid for by the time we finished it. So that worked out great. And to give you an example, when Brian went in, I'm going to say Brian was 4 or 5 years behind me. He had 400 builders.
Wow.
And I think it's over 700 now.
400. That's amazing.
It's amazing how big that organization has grown, how well they do. And it's national. I served as our national director for 7 or 8 years. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It's a lot of travel involved, but meeting national directors, you are meeting people from all over the United States. So when we'd go to one of our board meetings, I made friends all over the United States, builder friends that were serving. There you're addressing more of the national issues where you're trying to change some of the rules and regulations for builders. You're working on stuff like that. And then when you're a local director, you're just focused on our Tyler area. How do we be more efficient? How do we work good with the city? And help kind of, we always tried to maintain a really good relationship with the city. Matter of fact, while I was president, I got them to let us put a builder on their board. And just so we could give some input down there.
Yeah, and I would say not only that, if the more you know how some people say, I don't want to participate in something because I don't get anything out of it. But if you'll just put something into it, you get an abundance out of it.
You absolutely
know what I mean?
do.
And sharing of ideas and working smarter, better, faster. That's what I see the 2-hour house is that it gets the mindset. We're here to shift the mindset. My parents are deaf mutes, and my dad used to do this, and I would go, what the hell is that? But now I get it. It's take the circuit out, turn it, put it back in.
That's brilliant.
Change your perspective, change
Yeah.
how you look at things. And that's really, I would say, and I haven't shared this with anybody
I'm going to
else,
steal that.
but that is what I want to do here is to shift the mindset of what is impossible to what is possible. But somehow we're taught that we have to do things ourselves. But when you work together as a team, it's amazing what you can accomplish,
In building industry is teamwork. Builders nowadays don't build anything. They organize and put together the teams to build a house just like we did. The very same principle. They don't do it to that, as big as we did, but think about it. A builder is a businessman and knows his industry and is a good salesperson, and he puts together, organizes the trades. You find a framer you like, you find a roofer that can fit in with you, the plumber that you like and will work with you. You've got to have relationships with all those people. And today it's real competitive, and the better the relationships, the more successful you'll see these builders go.
Yeah, I tell you, it's and I guess I relate to it. It's like to build a house, it's kind of like building your life. Or what do you want your business to look like? What do you want your community to work? And then work backwards, but it's the same process. Begin with the end in mind, work backwards. And it's
Exactly.
kind of and then the somehow there's people out there, and we're trying to develop future leaders. It's hard to believe we've been friends 40 years, and here we are at the last quadrant of our life. But I think we have a purpose in life is to share this stuff with other people, and if they could take these nuggets away and shift the mindset for what they're trying to accomplish, that's worthwhile.
That's a great point, Jose. And I could do better at that too. I guess I get so wound up, I forget about that. But you're really, even in our trade, we need to organize better and show them what they can do, give them a goal, and we need to know how to measure their progress, and we want to make them happy too. When I do home building and remodeling, I still do remodeling. All the guys that's worked for me go all the way back to when I first built the loft apartments downtown, and that was
I remember that. That was across
96, if you can believe it.
Yeah, and that story, and to trust people, and to have different teams, because everybody wanted to do their part. Nobody wanted to let each other down.
Yeah.
And the game was big enough, and it's amazing how people will step up if you'll let it happen.
I still work with some of the guys that helped me do that to this day. They've maybe, the daddy's retired and the son's running it now, but it's still the same company, and I still do business with them.
Well, let's talk about your part real quick, being a conductor of the orchestra, and how important that is to prevent chaos. Give us the old world of what you see and what the new world, what you learned, and how you apply that today.
What I learned from the practice house was everybody was running over everybody. Okay, I said, we got to be more organized. And, talk with Brian, got his flow chart, and the idea of putting everybody in different color T-shirts, he had T-shirts made for everybody. He thought that was a great idea, and that worked fabulous. And you can't imagine till you see 580 people out there. Everybody's got a task, and they're doing it to the best of their ability. They're working together. We need to get back to that, where people are taking pride in what they're doing, enjoying it, and doing it together. That needs to be shown again. I tell people, and they don't believe me. I said, well, go to YouTube and look it up. And I showed some guys not long ago. It's ironic. I didn't realize it was 20 years since then. And I showed them. I said, how in the world did you do that? I said, everybody did their specific task. We divided it up into tasks. Everybody had the materials they needed there. They all brought their own people, and everybody did their task, and then it all came together with one. My role was to bring them in as needed. So I was, Brian wanted me to be in the house and calling the shots for who's next. I'd go out, you be ready. I'm almost ready for you, and I'd holler through that megaphone deal, and here they'd come, come running in. They'd have in their arms, ready to go, and it's fascinating to see. I think everybody could take something away from that. The book that y'all wrote is fabulous, but we need to find a way to get that shown again, because you need to see 580 people working together with a common goal.
Nobody got paid.
No, we didn't get paid.
A year and a half of planning.
Yep.
And
lots of work and practice.
He didn't tell the crew chiefs how to do what they need to do, just how much time they had, and they worked on how to do it and get their part done.
Brian empowered every trade. This is what I need, this is what I'm going to need you for, and this is when I'll need you. And then we kind of modified that for the final run, where I would call you when needed, because everybody was struggling a little bit with when to go. They're ready to go, they're prepared, and so that kind of put us over the hump, so to speak.
Even people running through the house did one part and ran through the back door.
And ran out the back.
That was just, it couldn't be done without them doing that part too.
And that just, like you say, it shows you what, if you work together, have a common goal, and everybody's going toward the same goal. I tell people, all you do is just get started. Quit worrying about how big a task it is. Start. Before you know it, it's over. And you can look back and go, hey, I did something great here.
It's probably, you're talking about collaboration. We can, 1 and 1's 11 and not 2 when you really work together well. We have egos that people sometimes says, I could do it myself, and you being the president of the Home Builders Association, if you attend to these things and just share ideas, you get an abundance out of it. You think you're working smart, but until you see somebody has a simple idea, you're talking about everybody has their processes and how we get things done. But can the way we do our process be done better, smarter, faster? Of course, but sometimes it takes an outsider. Someone's not directly involved with the process.
Very good point, Jose. Everybody left their ego in the pickup when they got there, okay? So if they came to me and said, Robert, I've got an idea, I can do this faster and better and be ready for you. And he'd show me, I said, let's do it. It wasn't, you have to, do my way. It was none of that. Everybody, all the different trades put together their own system. And, if they came to me and said, hey, I'm going to need this, but I need to go in before that, whatever, I'd line them up, call them in, and, they'd knock it out. That just goes to show, keep an open mind. Your way ain't necessarily the way it has to be. I like to listen to everybody's ideas, and then we'll put them together and extrapolate out of that something really good.
And I would say, we're looking back 20 years, looking back over those 20 years in your personal life. What did this project do for you personally? And what would you want to share to the younger generation, your biggest takeaways for you personally?
For me personally, I changed the way I ran my business. I realized I was trying to do it all, and that's not the way to do it. successfully and grow your business. You can't do it. One person cannot cover it all. You've got to have trust in other people. Find some people that you can trust, you work well with, and let them do their jobs. Kids today, we're starting to see a little bit more toward the trades, but they don't know how to work. They get out and they're smart and brilliant and have a fabulous education, but they don't know how to work. We've lost the part that they need to teach is, okay, this is what you're going to do when you get that job. You're going to have to listen to people. Find a part that uses your skill set best for you and it makes you happy.
It's funny you said that. I think recognizing unique abilities and playing to people's strengths, and don't even look at weaknesses. Just go with people's strengths, and you'll grow faster, I believe. And then I would, like you said, trusting others is the key. And if we could sit there and get the younger generation just to learn how to work together and go and lean in on life, we got big projects that are going to be happening in Texas, Tyler, Texas.
Absolutely.
We can do great things.
One of the most unique part of it was in the trades. These guys are competitors out there in the normal day, and for this one time, they all took their cap off and their company shirt off and put on that T-shirt and said, "We're a team," and they all worked together. And for years, it just resonated out. Everybody grew their business from that. From the relationships, instead of going, well, he's a competitor. No, he's somebody that might could teach you something. And they all learned from that. I learned a tremendous amount about it, and I thought I knew everything about house building there was. And I learned from everybody on that. I'm talking about every trade, from the plumbers, framers, roofers. They all got together. They didn't care what company it was. We're going to roof this house and get it done on time and ready to move the crane to move the roof. And it was amazing to see. Nobody had an ego, and nobody was. They're all competitors, but they all work together.
So one last thing I want to say. So to your personal life and what you want to share with the kids in the young generation, what would you say your biggest nugget, your biggest takeaway that you would like to share about the story?
Do not be scared to fail. Get out there and try. You have to start a task to finish it. They'll sit back and look at stuff, well, that's just too much. You'd be surprised if you'll just get started. It's over before you know it. And you're going to fail sometimes, and that's okay.
And you know what's funny about this? I have no idea where this 2 hours is going, interviewing everybody together. I don't know where this is going to end up, but I'm damn sure getting started. I have no idea where it's going. So thanks, Robert. I appreciate that.
Enjoyed it.